Tonight, we're examining a politically charged exchange where grief, public safety, and partisan identity collide. The conversation centers on violent crime, immigration policy, and claims about political values, all framed through deeply emotional personal stories. But beyond the rhetoric, this moment reveals something bigger: how tragedy is used in political messaging, how symbolism replaces policy debate, and how narratives shape public perception. As you listen, ask yourself, where does fact end and framing begin? And how should leaders balance compassion, accuracy, and responsibility when addressing national trauma?
Immediate reaction to what Ainsley was just referring to. You got that mother. She's bawling because her daughter was brutally murdered on video, and the Democrats don't even stand.
Yeah, Lawrence, this is the stark contrast. They would not stand, the Democrats, for that beautiful young woman, Irina Zarutska, who was killed, who was murdered on the subway. And here's the contrast. We are prosecuting the guy, the monster, and we are seeking the death penalty. That's the stark contrast between Donald Trump Republicans and the Democrats. They refuse to even stand for that victim. It was heartbreaking that Irina's mother had to experience that. That should be nonpartisan.
Yeah, I appreciated last night not only these touching stories and reasons why Donald Trump has these laws. It's not because they want to say he's racist. It's because when you're here illegally, you should not have a driver's license. You see what happens when there's a crash, when you can't read the road signs, when you don't speak English, you can't read English, and then you plow into this little girl. Her life has changed forever. Her parents have to take care of her forever. This lady leaves Ukraine and comes to America, and her child is throat slashed on a train in North Carolina because this guy is out on cash bail. Yeah. These are the kinds of things they want to say he's racist. He really just loves Americans and is trying to protect families.
This is a powerful rhetorical strategy, blending individual tragedies with national policy arguments to create emotional clarity and moral urgency. But it also raises critical questions about context and causality. Complex issues like crime, immigration, bail reform, and public safety don't operate in isolation, and they aren't driven by single policies or single parties. When stories of violence are tied directly to political identity, it can simplify reality in ways that feel convincing but may overlook deeper systemic factors. So here's the question for viewers. Does emotional storytelling help us understand policy, or does it sometimes replace evidence with narrative? And how do we separate compassion for victims from objective policy evaluation?
Ainsley, as you know, he loves America. President Trump has made America safe again, and that's what he's doing. And in turn, that makes Americans feel safe to go to work, to have jobs, to be able to go to church, to be able to function in our country and be safe. And that's what's driving our economy. Donald Trump making America safe. And that's why our economy is at a record high. We all know that, and it's safe. And, you know, we also had last night there Andy Wolf, and I've gotten to be very close with his mom, Melody. And you know something else, Ainsley, you'll appreciate this, what President Trump said, what's very different. We are a praying administration.
I loved that.
We all are. Our cabinet prayed before we went out there last night. We prayed for the president, we prayed for Congress, we prayed for the country. And that's because of Donald Trump. And that's what's making America safe. And, you know, Andy Wolf is a miracle. And seeing him standing there with his mom, Melody, she's such a proud mom. And I think I've spoken to you about this. They prayed so much about his health. President Trump talked to them on the phone with me many times. And he's just, he so deserved the Purple Heart, and so did Sarah's parents, who lost her life that day. President Trump is always going to keep Americans safe.
So the president gave everybody a choice last night. He said the first duty of the American government is to protect American citizens, not illegal aliens. Stand up if you agree. And almost all the Democrats stayed seated. That's what you were up against on a daily basis, isn't it?
That's what we're up against every single day. Every single day, that's what we're up against. But as you saw, Donald Trump won't be deterred. We won't be deterred. We're going to protect Americans. You know, it's very simple. You should have an ID to vote in an American election. And if you're an illegal alien, you're not going to vote in our elections. And that's what the Democrats boo. That should frighten everyone.
And
Yeah, I'm sorry,
it's an 80-20 issue.
It's an 80-20,
That's right.
and the representative, Janelle Bynum, she was interviewed by C-SPAN. She said that part of the speech made her uncomfortable and that it was racist. Being an American, standing up for Americans, is now racist in this country.
What we've just heard reflects a broader media and political pattern. Moments of real human suffering being woven into ideological storytelling, where grief becomes messaging and symbolism becomes strategy. These exchanges shape how audiences understand crime, safety, immigration, and national identity, not just through facts, but through emotional framing and political alignment. The deeper question isn't just who stood or sat, but how narratives influence trust, fear, and public opinion. So what do you think? Was this a necessary moral stand, or a moment where politics overshadowed nuance? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you value balanced, fact-based analysis, make sure to like, subscribe, and follow for more clear, credible breakdowns of the stories shaping public life.